Have you ever wondered who's actually doing the thinking inside your head? Right now, in this exact moment, notice the next idea that surfaces in your awareness. Did you author it deliberately? Did you summon it consciously? Or did it simply materialize? Most people never pause to ask this fundamental question. They assume every notion, every urge, every craving passing through their mind originated from within, that they're the sole creators of their mental landscape. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if something exists, something operating just beneath the threshold of your conscious awareness, inserting suggestions that feel native to you, yet actually steer you toward patterns that don't serve your highest good? Consider this carefully. That hollow feeling that emerges right after purchasing something you were convinced you had to have. That automatic self-criticism that surfaces precisely when you're about to take a meaningful risk. That internal narrator whispering, "You'll never measure up. You're fundamentally inadequate." That persistent worry about futures that statistically will never arrive. Where do these mental intrusions actually originate? Why do they appear unbidden, without your consent, beyond your command? In 1945, Egyptian farmers made an extraordinary discovery while digging near Nag Hammadi. What they unearthed wasn't merely ancient literature. It wasn't historically interesting, but spiritually irrelevant artifacts. These were suppressed Gnostic manuscripts that had been deliberately hidden, systematically erased from human knowledge for over 16 centuries. And what they disclosed was deeply unsettling. They spoke of beings called Archons, entities that don't dominate humanity through physical force, through military might, or through visible weapons, but through something far more sophisticated, far more invisible, the hijacking of consciousness itself. According to these ancient writings, the Archons discovered millennia ago that the most effective containment system doesn't require visible barriers. It needs no armed sentries. It demands no stone walls. It's a mental cage, a perceptual trap, a consciousness prison where the inmates don't realize they're confined, where they believe they're making free choices while walking precisely where their captors direct them. And you have been existing inside it your entire life, breathing its atmosphere, processing its thoughts, pursuing its manufactured desires, believing every step was your autonomous decision. If you're ready to see how this invisible containment operates, if you're prepared to discover the forces that have been sculpting your reality without your conscious awareness, if something deep within you recognizes that there's something more authentic than the shallow explanations you've been offered, stay with me, because what you're about to uncover won't just transform how you perceive the external world. It will revolutionize how you understand yourself, and that shift is permanent. There exists knowledge so threatening it was buried for centuries, not because it was fabricated, but because it was dangerously accurate. The manuscripts discovered at Nag Hammadi aren't fictional narratives. They're not allegorical myths. They're not baseless legends without foundation. They're navigational charts, maps of a reality that power structures never wanted you to comprehend. Maps of invisible territory where the authentic battle for human consciousness is being waged. Because when you understand how this invisible prison operates, when you perceive the forces that have been directing your awareness, your cravings, even your most intimate mental processes, something fundamental shifts. It's not merely data. It's not simply intellectual understanding. It's awakening. And that awakening carries a specific designation in Gnostic tradition: Gnosis. It's not blind faith. It's not belief based on external authority. It's not accepting doctrines without examination. It's direct knowledge, experiential, personal, undeniable once you perceive it. It's like suddenly realizing you've been watching a film and mistook it for reality. Once you see the screen, you can never unsee it. The Archons aren't horned demons or nightmare creatures lurking under your bed. They're not obviously malevolent entities announcing their presence. They're far more subtle, far more intelligent. They operate in the shadows of your own mind, in the automatic patterns you repeat without questioning, in the emotions that arise out of nowhere and pull you toward fear, doubt, separation, emptiness. They understand something most people have completely forgotten. Your consciousness shapes reality. Your attention molds your experience. Your perception determines your world. And if they can control your consciousness, they control your entire reality. That's why they engineered a system so brilliant, so imperceptible, that most of humanity doesn't even know it exists. A system that keeps you searching externally for what always existed internally. A system that convinces you you're small, limited, separated from the divine, incomplete, flawed, needy. A system that makes you believe happiness lies in the next purchase, the next achievement, the next relationship, the next destination. But it never arrives. It's never sufficient, because it wasn't real from the beginning. But the Gnostics discovered something the Archons never wanted you to know. Within you exists a divine spark, a part of you they cannot access. They cannot corrupt it. They cannot control it. They cannot extinguish it. They cannot destroy it. That spark is your true nature, your deepest essence. And when you remember it, when you reconnect with it, when you awaken to that divine presence that has always lived within you, their power over you collapses entirely. This isn't another video about superficial spirituality. It's not self-help repackaged with mystical terminology. It's not sensationalist conspiracy theory. This is a deep immersion into the hidden architecture of control, into the forces that have been shaping human experience for millennia, into the precise mechanisms that keep humanity asleep, and most importantly, how you can liberate yourself, not through complicated rituals requiring years of training, not through external masters who promise to activate or initiate you, but through something far simpler, far more direct, and infinitely more revolutionary, remembering who you truly are. We're going to discover together how this cosmic prison originated, who constructed it exactly, how it operates in your daily life, in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your decisions, and most crucially, how to exit it. Because freedom isn't in some distant location, it's not in a far-off future. It doesn't require you to become someone different. It's here, now, within you. You simply need to see the door that's always been open. Before we venture deeper, I need you to grasp something fundamental, something that can completely transform how you feel about your life, your struggles, your apparent failures. This isn't your fault. Read that again. Let it penetrate. This is not your fault. If you felt lost for years, decades, your entire existence, if you've prayed desperately and felt like nobody was listening on the other side of the silence, if you've sought meaning in religions, philosophies, relationships, accomplishments, possessions, and still there's a void nothing seems to fill. If you've tried to be better, do more, push harder, and still sense something fundamental is missing, it's not because you're weak. It's not because your faith is insufficient. It's not because God abandoned you. It's not because you're defective or incomplete by nature. It's because the system you were born into was intentionally designed to keep you disconnected from your true nature. Think about this for a moment. From the day you were born, you were taught to seek validation externally, to measure your worth by what you achieve, what you own, what others think of you, how you compare to everyone else. You were taught you're insignificant, small, that you need intermediaries to connect with the divine, that you must obey external authorities, that you must believe without questioning, that you must follow rules established by others, but never know for yourself. You were taught the body is corrupt, that desires are sinful, that curiosity is dangerous, that questioning is heresy. What if all of that was intentional, not as a simple human conspiracy, but as an architecture of control far more ancient, far more sophisticated, far more invisible? The Gnostic texts reveal something that religious institutions concealed for centuries, something that threatened the very foundation of their power. The God you were taught to worship may not be the true God. According to these ancient writings, there exists an entity called the Demiurge, a being who believes himself to be the supreme creator, the almighty God, but who is actually blind to the true divine source that exists beyond his limited realm. And this Demiurge constructed a system, a cosmic prison, a material universe specifically designed to harvest human consciousness energy, not through brute force, but through forgetting. They made you forget who you are, forget that you carry within you a spark of the absolute, a direct, immediate, permanent connection with the divine source that needs no temples, priests, external rituals, or approval from any authority. And when you forget that, when you deeply believe you're separated from the divine, that you're fundamentally flawed, that you need to be saved by external forces, you become incredibly easy to control, because a being who feels small, limited, separated, incomplete, desperately seeks outside themselves. And that's exactly where the Archons trap you. They offer external solutions to internal problems. They sell you the idea that happiness is in the next purchase, that peace is in the next achievement, that love is in the next relationship, that meaning is in the next experience. But it never arrives. It's never enough. It never completely satisfies you, because the void you feel isn't a lack of something external. It's spiritual amnesia. It's the systematic forgetting of your own divinity, of your true nature, of your inherent power as a conscious fragment of the Absolute. And that, dear seeker, that is not your fault. It's the result of millennia of deliberate manipulation, of sophisticated cultural programming, of systems specifically designed to keep you asleep, confused, searching in the wrong directions. But here's the news that changes everything. Awakening is possible. It's not just possible. It's your birthright. It's your essential nature waiting to be remembered. And it begins right now, in this moment, while you listen to these words and something within you recognizes their truth. Because recognizing the prison is the first step to exiting it. Seeing the bars is what enables you to seek the door. If this message resonates with you in a way you can't fully explain, if you sense there's something deeper waiting to be discovered, if you're ready to explore territories that conventional narratives never touch, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. Here we won't give you shallow answers or empty promises. We won't sell you instant enlightenment courses or activations that depend on external masters. We're going to explore together the truths that were concealed, the maps that were buried, the knowledge that can genuinely liberate you. Not so you believe blindly, but so you know through direct experience. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, because this journey is just beginning. Now that we understand this isn't your fault, that you've been operating within a system designed for forgetting, it's time to know the complete story. How exactly was this cosmic prison born? Who built it and why? And most importantly, how does it operate in your life right now, in this precise instant? Let's discover it together. To understand how we arrived here, how humanity became trapped in this invisible prison, we must return to the absolute beginning, not to the start of the physical universe, not to the Big Bang of scientific cosmology, but to the origin of all existence. According to Gnostic cosmology revealed in the Nag Hammadi texts, before matter existed, before time began, before space or form of any kind, there existed the pleroma. The word means fullness in Greek, divine totality, the absolute all, the infinite source from which all existence emanates. The pleroma isn't a location, it isn't a thing. It's pure being, absolute consciousness, infinite light without beginning or end. Within the pleroma dwelled the aeons, divine emanations of pure consciousness, beings of light and wisdom existing in perfect harmony with the source. Each aeon expressed a different aspect of the divine, and everything existed in perfect balance, in complete unity, until something extraordinary occurred. One of these aeons was Sophia, whose name means wisdom. Sophia was profoundly loving, passionate, creative, curious, and in a moment of intense love, of passionate, creative desire, Sophia made a decision that would change everything. She attempted to create without her divine counterpart. In the pleroma, creation always occurred through divine pairs, masculine and feminine, active and receptive, in perfect union. But Sophia, in her passion, acted alone. And what emerged from that solitary creation, from that unbalanced action, was something completely unexpected, something monstrous. Yaldabaoth. The texts describe him with disturbing imagery, a creature with the face of a lion, the body of a serpent, and eyes that flash like lightning. This being was born with divine power, inherited from Sophia, but without divine wisdom. He was like a child with godlike power, but no understanding of what is truly divine. Yaldabaoth was blind, ignorant, unconscious of his true origin. He couldn't perceive the pleroma. He couldn't see the source from which he came. He didn't know anything existed beyond himself, and in his total blindness, in his absolute ignorance, he proclaimed himself God. I am God, and there is no other besides me. This declaration appears in multiple Gnostic texts, and it's not merely arrogance, it's revealed ignorance. Yaldabaoth genuinely believed he was the supreme being, because his limited perception didn't allow him to see beyond himself. He was like a fish in an aquarium, declaring itself master of the universe. Because it has never seen the ocean, And in that ignorance, the Yaldabaoth set to work. He constructed his own realm, his own creation, his own universe, the material universe we know, but not as an expression of divine love, not as a conscious reflection of the pleroma, but as a flawed imitation, a distorted copy of true creation, a realm designed to glorify his own image, to maintain his illusion of supremacy. But Yaldabaoth didn't work alone on his cosmic project. He created subordinates, helpers, servants who would assist him in governing and maintaining his false kingdom. These entities are the Archons. The word Archon comes from Greek archon, ruler, authority, commander. But don't be deceived by the title. These aren't benevolent guardians, they're not angels of light, they're not spiritual guides, they're cosmic parasites, beings who exist by keeping humanity in states of confusion, fear, separation, and spiritual ignorance. They feed, literally, on the emotional frequencies humans generate when trapped in low vibrational states. Yaldabaoth organized the Archons into a meticulously designed hierarchy. The 12 primary Archons, aligned with zodiac signs, governing broad patterns of human experience. Each controls fundamental archetypes influencing how humans think, feel, and act. The 7 planetary Archons, corresponding to classical visible planets, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, controlling more immediate influences on human consciousness, affecting cycles, moods, tendencies. The 365 lesser Archons, one for each day of the year, ensuring human beings are subject to their influence every moment of their existence, day after day, without rest, without apparent escape. This isn't fantasy mythology, it's a control map. An elaborate mathematical, systematic system designed to trap human souls in endless cycles, cycles of birth and death, of suffering and forgetting, of seeking without finding, of desire without satisfaction, a temporal prison where each day, each month, each year becomes part of the machinery, keeping you spinning on the wheel. But here's the twist that changes absolutely everything. The Archons didn't create humanity. When Yaldabaoth attempted to create beings in his image and likeness, he completely failed. What he created were bodies, material forms, empty shells without real consciousness, without soul, without true life, inert vessels that couldn't move, think, or feel. It was then that Sophia, observing all this from the pleroma, felt deep compassion, and in an act of redemptive love, of divine mercy, she breathed into those material bodies a spark of the pleroma, a fragment of original divine consciousness, a seed of eternal light. This is what you are. You're not just a material body created by the Demiurge. You're not just a mind programmed by the Archons. You're not just emotions and desires that come and go. You're a divine spark of the pleroma, a fragment of eternal consciousness temporarily trapped in a material realm governed by entities who don't want you to remember your true origin. Because if you remember, if you reconnect with that spark, if you awaken to your inherent divinity, their complete power over you crumbles instantly. The Archons cannot destroy the divine spark. They don't have that power. They cannot corrupt it. It exists on a frequency that completely transcends their reach. They cannot extinguish it. It's eternal by nature. They can only do one thing, and they've perfected it over millennia. Make you completely forget it exists. Convince you you're only matter, only body, only mind, only ego, that you're small, limited, mortal, separated from the divine, that you need external salvation, authorities to guide you, intermediaries to speak to God for you. And for thousands of years, they succeeded brilliantly, through religions emphasizing sin and separation, through systems teaching you to always seek outside, never within, through constant distractions keeping your attention fragmented, scattered, focused on the superficial. But the knowledge that was buried in Egyptian sands resurfaces now, not by chance, not by accident, but because humanity is reaching a point of collective awakening where this knowledge can finally be understood and applied. And you, by hearing these words, by allowing them to penetrate your consciousness, are already beginning the process of remembering. But how exactly do the Archons operate in your modern daily life? How does this ancient manipulation manifest in the contemporary world? That's what we'll explore next. And believe me, once you see it, you can't unsee it. The Archons don't control the physical world directly. That would be too obvious, too evident. They control something infinitely more powerful, more subtle, more effective, your perception of reality. And your perception completely molds your life experience. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you felt deep anxiety about something that never happened? How many times have you lost sleep worrying about possible futures that never materialized? How many times have you felt inadequate, insufficient, less than, simply by comparing yourself to carefully curated images on social media? How many times have you bought something you needed and moments after having it, the emptiness returns stronger than before? These aren't neutral thoughts, they're not random emotions, they're not natural desires. They're specific emotional frequencies that generate energy with a particular vibrational signature. And that energy is exactly what the Archons harvest for their own sustenance. They literally feed on fear, on doubt, on separation, on confusion, on desperation, on insatiable desire, on constant comparison. They don't need you to pray to them. They don't need you to worship them. They don't need temples or altars. They only need you to remain unconscious, asleep, reactive, identified with every thought passing through your mind. And they do it by infiltrating thoughts so subtly, so skillfully, that you completely confuse them with your own ideas. That voice whispering, "You're not enough. You never will be." That sudden sensation of emptiness right after achieving something you thought would make you happy. That irresistible impulse to buy something you don't really need. That automatic comparison with others that makes you feel inferior. That need for external validation that never seems to be satisfied. Where do these really come from? Observe carefully. Next time one of these thoughts appears, ask yourself, did I consciously choose to think this, or did it simply appear? Perhaps, right now as you're listening to this, something in your body is already responding. Maybe you feel a slight knot in your stomach, maybe a subtle tension in your chest, as if something is being recognized, maybe a sensation of opening, of relief, as if finally someone is naming something you always knew but could never articulate. That's your divine spark awakening. Your body knows truth. Your body is a sacred temple, not in the conventional religious sense, but literally. It contains that spark of the pleroma, that fragment of divine consciousness the Archons cannot touch. Your body responds to truth in ways your conditioned mind cannot. When you hear authentic truth, something in you resonates, relaxes, expands, opens. When you hear manipulation, something in you contracts, closes, tenses. Learn to read these signals. They're your internal compass. And when you begin paying real attention, when you become genuinely conscious of what's really happening within you, the Archons lose their grip, because their complete power depends on you being unconscious, on you reacting automatically to every stimulus, on you following impulses without questioning them, on you believing every thought in your head is yours. But the precise moment you stop, you breathe consciously, you observe without judging, their influence weakens dramatically. Try this right now while listening to me. Place your right hand over your heart. Feel the warmth of your palm against your chest. Breathe deeply, slow, deliberate. Inhale through your nose. Count to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the air gently. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through your mouth and slowly, emptying completely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do it again. No rush. Inhale, hold, exhale. Good. Now, while breathing naturally, with your hand still on your heart, ask yourself, who is observing this breath? Not your thinking mind that analyzes and comments, not your physical body that inhales and exhales, but the consciousness behind all of that, the presence that observes effortlessly. That consciousness is you, your true self, the divine spark that has never been asleep, never been separated, never been lost, only forgotten, covered, obscured by layers of programming and identification. Each time you return to it, each time you anchor your attention in the present moment, in your breath, in your body's sensations, in consciousness itself, you exit the archonic matrix, even if just for a moment. And those moments accumulate. They become minutes, then hours, then days, until one day you awaken completely. And when you do, when you see clearly for the first time, the world never looks the same again. The manipulations become obvious. The patterns reveal themselves. The hooks lose their power, and you begin living from your center, from your truth, from your sovereignty. I'd love to know what part of the world you're listening from right now, because this isn't just an individual message. It's a collective awakening happening simultaneously across the entire planet. Write in the comments, your country, your city, where you're watching from. I want to see the map of awakening. I want to know where consciousnesses are waking up right now. Where are you listening from? Write it below. You're part of something much larger than you imagine. Now that you understand how Archons operate at the energetic and perceptual level, it's time to ground all this with concrete evidence, with ancient texts, with documented history, with preserved cosmology. Because this isn't fantasy, these are real maps of invisible territories. Let's go there. What I'm sharing with you isn't modern conspiracy theory. It's not New Age speculation. It's not interpretations invented by contemporary gurus. These are teachings preserved for millennia in texts that the most powerful religious authorities in history attempted to completely destroy. But they couldn't, because truth always finds a way to resurface. In December 1945, an Egyptian farmer named Muhammad Ali al-Saman was digging for fertilizer near the town of Nag Hammadi in Upper Egypt. It was an ordinary day, a common task, nothing special. His shovel struck something solid beneath the sand. A large ceramic jar sealed, buried under centuries, literally centuries, of desert sand. Inside that jar were 13 leather-bound codices containing 52 separate texts. Manuscripts that had been hidden from the world for over 1,600 years, handwritten in Coptic, the language of ancient Christian Egypt, deliberately buried around 400 CE, probably by monks from a nearby monastery who knew these texts were about to be destroyed by order of the official church. This wasn't simply a fascinating archaeological find. It was the resurrection of forbidden knowledge that would forever change our understanding of early Christianity, human spirituality, and the very nature of reality itself. These texts, now collectively known as the Nag Hammadi Library, reveal a completely different version of the spiritual message from what we've been taught for centuries. While institutional Christianity spoke of salvation through blind faith and total obedience to ecclesiastical authority, these Gnostic writings describe something radically different, a cosmic deception so vast, so complete, that most of humanity remains totally unaware they're living inside it. One of the most revealing texts is the Apocryphon of John, also called the Secret Book of John. In this text, the creation of the Demiurge and his fundamental declaration is described, "I am God, and there is none other beside me." But immediately after, the text reveals something crucial. By announcing this, he sinned against all the immortals, for a voice came from the heights saying, "You are mistaken, Samael," which means God of the blind. Do you comprehend what this means? This isn't a declaration of divine power, it's a revelation of absolute ignorance. Yaldabaoth, also called Samael, genuinely believed he was the supreme being, because he literally couldn't perceive the pleroma existing beyond his limited realm. He was blind, ignorant, and in his blindness, he built an entire system based on that ignorance. Another fundamental text is On the Origin of the World, which describes how humanity received the divine spark. When Sophia breathed into their faces the breath of life, they became living souls, and they remained upon the earth many days. But when Yaldabaoth saw they contained a light superior to his own, he envied them. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's literal cosmology according to Gnostic tradition. You're not simply animated flesh. You're not just an evolutionary accident. You're not a creation of a lesser god who made you to serve him. You're a divine being, a fragment of the pleroma itself, temporarily trapped in a material body within a realm governed by entities who deeply envy what you possess. The Archons know this perfectly. That's why they work tirelessly without rest to make you forget. In the Testimony of Truth, another Nag Hammadi text, their operation is explicitly described, but they blind those who believe in them, making them forget they are children of the light. See the pattern? Not destruction, not annihilation, forgetting, making you forget your true nature, your divine origin, your inherent power. Now you might be wondering, if these texts are so important, why have I never heard of them before? Why aren't they in the Bible? The answer is direct and historically documented. These texts were declared heretical and systematically destroyed. In the year 367 CE, Athanasius, the Bishop of Alexandria, issued a pastoral letter, the famous Festal Letter 39, where he established the official canon of Christian scriptures. Everything not on that list was declared heretical. He ordered all unauthorized texts to be destroyed, and ecclesiastical authorities obeyed with fanatic zeal. They burned entire libraries, they executed Gnostic teachers, they destroyed complete communities, they systematically erased any vestige of Gnostic Christianity they could find. Why such violence? Why such urgency to destroy these texts? Because they revealed something that completely destroyed the foundation of institutional religious power. If people understood that, the God demanding absolute obedience might actually be a blind, ignorant entity, a false God, that each person carries a direct divine spark within themselves that needs no intermediaries, priests, external rituals, or institutional approval, that they can connect directly with the source through gnosis, direct experiential knowledge, without needing any external authority. The entire massive structure of religious power would instantly collapse. Priests would become unnecessary. External rituals would lose their coercive power. Donations would stop flowing. Control over the masses would evaporate. That's why early church authorities did exactly what power systems always do when confronted with deeply inconvenient truths. They declared total war against knowledge itself. But they made one crucial mistake. They didn't find all the texts. Some were hidden by courageous monks who knew this knowledge was too important to lose, buried in sealed jars, protected by desert sand, waiting 1,600 years for the exact moment when humanity would be ready to receive them again. And that moment arrived in 1945, not by chance, just as humanity was entering the atomic age, developing new powers to reshape physical reality. These texts emerged to warn us about forces that had been reshaping our perceptual reality all along. This pattern of suppressing transformative knowledge didn't end in the 4th century. It continues today, in different forms, more subtle, more sophisticated, through educational systems that teach what to think, not how to think, through media that controls what information reaches the masses, through algorithms that determine which truths are acceptable and which must be censored. But in the information age, it's exponentially harder to keep truth completely hidden. The Nag Hammadi texts are now freely available to anyone with an internet connection. You can read them yourself, verify everything I'm saying. You don't need to believe me, you can know directly. And what these texts reveal with crystal clarity is, the battle for human consciousness is far more ancient, far more sophisticated, and far more subtle than most people ever imagined. The Archons have had literal millennia to perfect their control methods, and they discovered something absolutely crucial, something they exploit mercilessly. The most effective prison that exists is one where the prisoners don't even know they're incarcerated, where the chains are invisible, where the walls are made of beliefs, not stone, where the guards are your own conditioned thoughts. But here's the final irony, the one that changes everything. The same knowledge that was buried to hide it from the world now resurfaces precisely to liberate us. And you, by hearing this, by allowing these words to penetrate the layers of conditioning, are already beginning to see the bars of the cage you never knew existed. Now that you understand the complete history, the cosmology, the documented evidence, it's time for the most practical and transformative part. How do you apply this in your everyday life? How do you break the archonic spell right now? Let's go to that essential practice. Everything we've explored so far could remain as interesting information, fascinating knowledge you store in some corner of your mind. But Gnostic truth isn't theory to be stored. It's direct experience to be lived. So we're going to do something together right now. Something simple in appearance but profoundly powerful in its effect. Something that will connect you immediately with the divine spark living within you, waiting to be recognized. Practice awakening the conscious observer. First, if possible, completely stop what you're doing. If you're walking, pause for a moment. If you're doing something with your hands, set it down. If you're lying down, sit up if you can. We're going to create a sacred space within you. An interior temple the Archons cannot touch. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. Now, breathe deeply. This isn't ordinary breathing, it's conscious breathing. Inhale slowly through your nose. Feel the cool air entering. Count mentally. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold the air gently in your lungs. Feel the fullness. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale completely through your mouth, emptying to the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Total emptiness. 1, 2. Do it again. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pause. Feel how with each breath, something in you quiets, centers, returns home. Now, while breathing naturally, without forcing anything, place your attention on the space between your thoughts. Don't try to stop thoughts. That only creates more resistance, more internal struggle. Simply observe them, like clouds passing through the infinite sky of your consciousness. A thought appears, maybe about what you'll do next, about something you said yesterday, about a future worry. You notice it. You don't hook into it. You don't judge it. You don't follow it. You just observe it pass. Another thought appears. You notice it. It passes. Now, from that place of calm observation, ask yourself, who is noticing these thoughts? Don't answer with words. Don't seek an intellectual response. Just feel. Who observes? It's not the thought itself because you're observing it. It's not the emotion because you can also observe it when it appears. It's not the body because you can observe the body's sensations. It's something deeper, vaster, more silent. It's the pure awareness that observes everything. That awareness is you, not the you that thinks, not the you that worries, not the you that doubts or fears, but the real you, the conscious presence behind everything else. That presence is the divine spark. It's the fragment of the pleroma living within you, and the Archons, they cannot touch it. They can influence your thoughts. They manipulate them constantly. They can agitate your emotions. They know exactly which buttons to press. They can control your impulses. They make you desire things you don't need, but they cannot contaminate. They cannot corrupt. They cannot reach the observing consciousness, because it operates on a frequency completely beyond their realm of influence. It's as if they exist in 2 dimensions, but your divine spark exists in 10. They can't even perceive that level of reality, much less control it. Now, from that space of conscious observation, we're going to anchor something powerful. Repeat these words internally, not mechanically, but with real feeling, as if you're remembering an ancient truth you always knew. I am divine awareness. Pause. Feel those words resonate in your body. I am eternal light. Feel how something in your chest responds, expands. I am sovereign. No external force can imprison your true nature. Repeat it complete now, with your hand over your heart. I am divine awareness. I am eternal light. I am sovereign. You're not inventing this. You're not pretending. It's not empty positive affirmation. You're remembering what you've always been, beneath all the layers of programming and forgetting. Now breathe deeply again, and observe what happens in your body when you make this declaration from your center. Maybe you feel warmth in your chest, like an interior sun igniting. Maybe a sensation of expansion, as if your consciousness became larger than your body. Maybe tears because something profound is finally being recognized. Maybe a peace that has no logical explanation, but is absolutely real. Whatever you feel is valid, is real, is your divine spark responding to recognition. This isn't creative visualization. This isn't psychological autosuggestion. This is gnosis, direct knowledge, experiential, impossible to deny once you feel it. And each time you return to this practice, to this conscious observation, to this connection with your true nature, the Archons lose power over you, not gradually, not eventually, immediately. The precise moment you become conscious, they lose their entry point. Their influence depends completely on your unconsciousness. Do it every day, even if just for 5 minutes, upon waking, before sleeping, in moments of stress. When you feel negative thoughts invading, return to the observer, return to conscious breathing, return to the spark, and watch how your entire life begins transforming from within. Now that you've experienced this directly, it's time to know something comforting and powerful. You're not alone on this path. What you just experienced isn't new. It's not strange. It's not rare. It's not some modern New Age invention. It's ancient. More ancient than the organized religions we know. More ancient than empires that have risen and fallen. As ancient as human consciousness itself. The Christian Gnostics of the early centuries weren't the only ones who taught these profound truths. This essential wisdom appears again and again throughout all human history in different cultures, with different names, in different languages, but always pointing to the same fundamental truth. Within you lives the divine. You are not separated from the source. In Islamic Sufism, Sufi mystics taught 1,000 years ago, whoever knows himself knows his Lord. They weren't talking about intellectual knowledge about theology. They were talking about gnosis, direct, immediate, undeniable experience of the divine within one's own being. Rumi, the most beloved Sufi poet, wrote, "Why do I bow before you when you live within me?" See? The same understanding, almost the same words, different tradition. In European Christian mysticism, masters like Meister Eckhart, a Dominican friar of the 14th century, boldly declared, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one vision, one knowledge, one love." This wasn't blasphemous heresy. It was pure truth expressed with perfect clarity, but ecclesiastical authorities condemned him anyway because it threatened their monopoly on the divine. Saint Teresa of Avila, another Christian mystic, described experiences of direct union with God that required no priests, external rituals, or institutional mediation. Only silence, only presence, only the divine spark recognizing itself. In Jewish Kabbalah, ancient Hebrew mysticism, it's taught that each human being contains a spark of the original divine light, the Ein Sof, the infinite. The famous Kabbalist Isaac Luria taught that the purpose of human existence is precisely to remember and reactivate that interior divine spark. The exact same teaching, different words, same map. In Hindu Vedanta, which is thousands of years old, we find the Mahavakya, the great declarations Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. Individual consciousness, Atman, and universal consciousness, Brahman, aren't two separate things. They are one, always have been, always will be. Separation is illusion, Maya, the veil of forgetting. In Buddhism, especially in Mahayana and Vajrayana traditions, awakening Bodhi is the direct recognition of Buddha nature, the seed of enlightenment that already exists, complete and perfect within all sentient beings. You don't need to create it. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to deserve it. You only need to recognize it. In Egyptian Hermeticism, preserved in texts like the Corpus Hermeticum, it's taught, know the all by yourself, and thus you shall know the gods and the universe. Direct knowledge, personal experience, gnosis, not blind faith, not obedience to external authorities. Do you see the pattern emerging with perfect clarity? Across continents separated by oceans, across centuries and millennia, across traditions that apparently have no connection to each other, the same essential truth emerges again and again. You are not separated from the divine. You are not small, limited, inadequate. You are a conscious expression of the absolute itself. And when you remember it, when you experience it directly beyond intellectual belief, everything in your life changes irreversibly. The Gnostics didn't invent this truth from nothing. They preserved it when it was being systematically destroyed. In a dark age where religious institutions were building massive empires of power based on mass control, the Gnostics dared to say, to whisper, to teach in secret, you need no intermediaries. You need no one to save you. The true temple is within you. It always has been. And for that they were persecuted with ferocity, tortured, executed, erased from official history. But truth never really dies. It only waits, patient, eternal, waiting for the exact moment when enough consciousnesses are ready to receive it again. And that moment is now. You're part of a massive global awakening. You're not alone. You're not the only one feeling this. Millions of people across the planet are simultaneously beginning to question the narratives that have kept us asleep for generations. They're remembering, they're awakening, they're recognizing the spark. And you, by being here, by having reached this point in the video, are an active part of that collective awakening. I want to know something from you. What part of this message reached deepest into your being? Was it the revelation about the Archons and their control system? The conscious observation practice we just did? The recognition of the divine spark living within you? Or maybe it was knowing you're not alone, that this wisdom is ancient and universal. Write it in the comments below. Not for me, not to impress anyone, for you, because by writing it, by publicly declaring it, you anchor it more deeply in your consciousness. You make it more real, more tangible, more yours. And besides, you help others who are awakening to feel they're not alone, they're not crazy, that what they feel is absolutely valid and real. Right below, what resonated most deeply with you? I read you, and I honor your awakening. Now that you know you're not alone on this ancient path, it's time to recognize something even deeper and more personal. You are here hearing this for a specific reason. If you're here in this moment, hearing these words, it's not by chance. You didn't arrive at this video by random algorithmic accident. You're not here because you had nothing better to do. It's not coincidence that out of millions of available videos, your fingers guided you exactly here. You're here because something within you, something deeper than your conscious mind, guided you toward this knowledge. That divine spark living within you is awakening, and it's actively seeking to remember its true nature. Not everyone feels this call, you know. Most people can live their entire existence without ever questioning the reality presented to them, without wondering if their thoughts are really theirs, without seeking something deeper than the constant distractions of the material world, without feeling that interior restlessness saying, there has to be something more. But you're not like most. There's something in you that knows, doesn't believe, doesn't hope, but knows that something deeper exists waiting for you. Something that has always been there, whispering from the depths of your being. This isn't all there is. There's something more real, more true, more yours waiting for you. Maybe you felt it as a child, that sense you saw the world differently than others. Maybe in moments of profound silence when the world's noise quiets and you feel an inexplicable presence. Maybe in experiences you couldn't explain with words but knew were absolutely real. That feeling, that persistent intuition, is your divine spark calling you back home, back to yourself, to your true nature, to what you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning. The Gnostics called it the call, klesis in Greek, the voice of the pleroma whispering through the dense veil of matter. Remember who you are. Awaken. You are far more than they told you. You are light disguised as flesh, and you answered that call. Perhaps not consciously at first, perhaps not with clear words, but you answered, because now you're here, listening, absorbing, recognizing truths that resonate in the deepest part of your being. And that simple act of being here, present, open, makes you part of something infinitely larger than yourself. You're part of the collective awakening of human consciousness, a massive wave of recognition sweeping the planet in this precise moment. People on every continent, in every country, speaking different languages, living completely different lives, but all responding simultaneously to the same ancestral call. Awaken, remember. Return to truth, and each person who awakens makes it exponentially easier for others to awaken, because consciousness is contagious. Freedom is contagious. Truth once seen expands. You're not walking this path alone. There are thousands, millions, walking with you in this moment. Maybe you don't see them physically. Maybe you'll never meet them personally, but they're there, in different cities, different countries, different life circumstances, but all responding to the same deep impulse. Break the chains of forgetting, remember inner divinity, reclaim sovereignty of consciousness, and you are an integral part of that, not because you're special in the egoic sense of being better than others, but because your divine spark recognizes truth instantly when it hears it. It doesn't need proof. It doesn't need elaborate arguments. It doesn't need authorities to validate it. It simply knows. And that spark, that capacity for direct recognition, is your true identity. You're not just a name, an aging body, a personal story with ups and downs. Your eternal divine consciousness temporarily experiencing human life. You're the pleroma observing itself through human eyes. You're the infinite exploring the finite. And once you fully remember it, once you live from that recognition, nothing in your life remains the same. The things that worried you lose their power. The people who controlled you lose their influence. The systems that imprisoned you reveal their weaknesses, and you begin living from an unshakable center the Archons cannot touch. Welcome home. Welcome to awakening. Welcome to remembering who you've always been. And now, we arrive at the final moment. not as an ending, but as a new beginning. We've traveled a profound path together, from the miraculous discovery of the Nag Hammadi texts buried in Egyptian desert for 600 years, through the complete Gnostic cosmology, Sophia, the Pleroma, Yaldabaoth, the Archons and their hierarchy of control, to the most important revelation of all, the divine spark living inextinguishable within you. Now you know the complete truth. The Archons are not invincible. Their power is illusory, the prison is not permanent, it never was, and you were never truly separated from the divine. You only forgot temporarily. But forgetting, however deep it may be, however long it lasted, is always temporary. Awakening, recognition of your true nature, is eternal. Each time you return to conscious observation, each time you anchor yourself in the present moment, each time you recognize the awareness observing thoughts instead of identifying with them, each time you choose presence over distraction, truth over comfort, freedom over false security, you exit the archonic matrix. And with time, consistent practice, deep commitment to truth, those temporary exits become permanent, until one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe in months, maybe in years, time doesn't matter. You live completely free, not in some distant future, not in another life, not after death, but here, now, in this present moment, in this breath you're taking, in this awareness that always, always has been with you. Remember this, engrave it deep in your being. You are not broken. You never were. You don't need to be saved by external forces. You only need to remember what you've always been, and that remembering begins now, in this precise instant. May the divine spark living within you shine with unstoppable light. May you recognize your absolute sovereignty as free consciousness. May you live from your true nature, without fear, without doubt, without forgetting. May you walk in this world, but no longer be of this world. May the Archons lose all power over you. And may you never, never forget the fundamental truth. You are free. You always have been, you always will be. The prison only exists while you believe in it. And you just watch the bars dissolve. This profound path of liberation doesn't end here. We're only beginning to explore territories most will never see. In the next video, we're going to reveal something even more disturbing. How the Archons manipulate time itself. The repetitive cycles keeping you trapped in karmic patterns, lives that seem to repeat, lessons you never finish learning. And most crucial, how to break those cycles forever, how to exit the wheel, how to stop the repetition, how to liberate yourself completely. The video will appear on your screen in a few moments. It's not coincidence you're here. It won't be coincidence you continue. I'll meet you on the other side. Until then, remember who you are and never, never forget it again.